Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. The twice impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief Donald Trump is saying, he's going to send National Guard to Chicago, or a city with a governor who he says would welcome them like New Orleans. Really? That's what we're doing? Jeffrey Epstein survivors and several lawmakers, Democrats and Republicans, gathered on Capitol Hill demanding the full release of his case files. Now, Republicans then released 33,000 documents, but 97% of what they released had already been made public. And the Trump White House, they're threatening Republicans, saying if you dare sign on to this discharge, they will consider this to be a hostile act. The leadership of the Southern Baptist Convention, overwhelmingly white male. And they say they want to focus on making God great again. Texas pastor Dwight McKissic says, I'm sorry, y'all want to make Baptists great again, but y'all ain't include no black people? Let me know how that works. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke calls out Republican Congressman Cory Mills over allegations of harassment. Oh, wait till I tell y'all what happened. Y'all, this man, they wanted to charge him for beating a woman. And the Trump U.S. attorney said, nah, we're not going to do that. Well, yeah, Gene Pirro, what's going on? Plus, in our Tech Talk segment, across the country, more families are choosing homeschooling. We'll talk with the founders of Coca Classroom. They're helping reshape education for black families. Lots to talk about. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. On the Black Star Network, let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah.
Spurs. You know, the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon in chief Donald Trump, the same man who lied to get out of serving in Vietnam. He's never worn the uniform except when he played like a military person in high school. He has this fetish with seeing American troops on the streets in America. Well, today, he was meeting with Polish President Karol Nawrock. And what did he say? He was like, oh, you know what? I could send troops to New Orleans next. Why? Because they've got a Republican MAGA governor.
We're making a determination now. Do we go to Chicago or do we go to a place like New Orleans where we have a great governor, Jeff Landry, who wants us to come in and straighten out a very nice section of this country that's become quite tough, quite bad. So we're going to be going to maybe Louisiana, and you have New Orleans, which has a crime problem. We'll straighten that out in about 2 weeks. It'll take us 2 weeks, easier than D.C. But we could straighten out Chicago. All they have to do is ask us.
Oh, you see how he's changing his tune? All Chicago has to do is ask us, because he knows he just can't do it. Because the way the process works, the governor has to make the request for the National Guard. Now, what's interesting here is Donald Trump's, we'll have Chicago, we'll have New Orleans solved in 2 weeks. Really? But why not Shreveport? Why not go to the place where Speaker Mike Johnson represents? Remember when we played that clip the other day? Y'all, please pull it. When Mike Johnson was on CNN, and he was specifically asked by John Berman, well, wait a minute. You keep talking about Los Angeles and the crime in California, and John Berman literally hit him with the facts about crime in Shreveport. And then Mike Johnson, he starts dancing around. He starts trying to give some other answer. There are things that we have to do. It's not as simple as that. See, I love it. See, when it's somebody else, send them in, take it over. But when you start changing the conversation, it's amazing how they start talking a little bit different. And so what do you have here? You have Mike Johnson, who really doesn't want to answer that question. Because, see, whether they want to own it or not, they don't want to see these people. They don't want to see these troops in their cities. All right, so control room, play it.
Sometimes local governance does not do the job, and the oversight in D.C. is long overdue.
I was going to ask when you might be calling for the National Guard in Shreveport, which is, you have part of your district is Shreveport. The FBI statistics, actually violent crime per 100,000 residents higher in Shreveport last year than Washington, D.C.
There's a lot of good work that's been done. There's a lot of reasons for that, but we have a Democrat DA there who has not been prosecuting crime as some other more aggressive DAs have around the country. Soros funded that individual to be elected. But I'll say that, it's an urban area that has a lot of problems that are happening around the country, and we have to address it.
So would the Guard help? If the Guard can help in D.C., the president has said he wants to send the Guard to Chicago and other places. Why not Shreveport?
I don't know. That's not my call.
Would you
it may
ask
be
him for
necessary.
that?
Well, I don't know. Let's take one city at a time and see. We have to address the crime problem in any city where it's a problem like that. And in large cities like in Chicago, as you mentioned, that would be a big help there. I was there just 2 days ago, and it's a serious, serious problem. They don't even report murders on the evening news in Chicago anymore because it's so common. And Democrat-run cities typically have that problem because they have not been tough on crime. President Trump is one who believes in that, and we do as well. And we've got to take every measure to make sure we're keeping American cities safe. It's common sense.
I want to ask you.
See, now I'm confused because, first of all, you talked about all of these things that, happen, and this is why there's crime. And now all of a sudden you're saying, but a big city like Chicago, or how it could really help them. So why wouldn't you want them in your city where crime is significant in Shreveport? Rebecca Carruthers, she is President CEO, Fair Election Center out of D.C., Tyler McMillan, social justice leader and movement strategist, also out of D.C. as well. See, this is just what I find to be just fascinating, Rebecca. They never really want to talk about their places because that's not what they want to talk about. So, let's go to let's go to New Orleans. Okay, since you're gonna go to New Orleans, let's go about Baton Rouge. You got that white Republican mayor in Baton Rouge. Oh, I guess we don't want to include that because it's a little too close, huh?
Roland, I can think of a lot of sundown towns in this country that could really use some federal intervention. Those are towns where I don't feel safe. Those are towns where a lot of Black Americans don't feel safe. So what I find very interesting is that they're targeting cities that have higher or above average Black populations. When we look at crime as a whole, and it's also unfortunate that we're seeing our congressional leaders attach crime to urban areas when we know crime happens everywhere. And so if there is a need for bringing in federal intervention, then talk to some of these mayors, actually have a conversation. And many was telling them that they need resources. And the resources aren't just packaged in additional monies for more local law enforcement or federal law enforcement in this case, but actually programs for crime intervention, such as increasing the quality of education, increasing job skills and after-school programs for young people in this country. So if the federal government wants to intervene, they either need to do it in the areas that could really use some federal intervention, like the sundown towns that I spoke of, or provide and loosen up resources that mayors are actually asking for.
Tyler, it's just so hilarious. And again, now all of a sudden, because he's been getting pushback, if they seek my help and ask my permission. No, I thought you're the big bad bully. I thought you were like, no, I'm sending them in regardless. I don't care. I'm doing it. He knows he's going to lose in court.
Right, I echo the same words, and I think it echoes the long history of federal violence against Black cities, as we see. And it's really about control and the criminalization of Black communities, because as said, safety comes from the investment in people. It comes from not tanks and tear gas, but it comes from the investment in public schools and after school programs and teacher support. It comes from when we invest in housing in Section 8 and not leaving families vulnerable to displacement and homelessness. It comes from when we don't cut programs such as mental health and substance abuse treatment, and in the closing of community clinics. And so we see all these different cuts from SNAP to WIC and other safety net programs. And that's where the true safety comes from. And it's crazy to me that this administration keeps talking about public safety, but all the deterrents that help, create safety in our communities is being cut left and right from the budget. And I think it's crazy to me that they're so focused on that, but continue to cut these necessary programs that promote public safety.
Yeah, because they don't actually want to confront crime. What they want is, Rebecca, they want the show. They want the television show. They want the show of force. They want the folks in their uniforms, and that's right, in the tanks rolling down the streets, and it's the show of force. Donald Trump wants everything to be a television show in this country.
And the people surrounding Donald Trump need to wake up, because at the end of the day, I don't care what that man says, he will not be president forever. There's going to be a tomorrow. There's going to be a next day. And all of these people are sycophants of a president that is hell-bent on destroying our democracy instead of trying to actually reform and improve our democracy. There's going to be hell and high water to pay. Like, people aren't going to forget who supported this madness and who just went along to get along.
Absolutely, and we know how these people are operating, Tyler, and what they're trying to do, they're trying to set up this whole deal, you're defending crime. No, what we're saying is that's why you have local law enforcement. That's what you can actually do. Now, if you want to send the feds in to help people clear cases, whole different conversation. They don't want to deal with that. And in Chicago, they don't want to deal with the fact that the guns are coming across the border from Indianapolis, from Indiana, from that red state. They don't want to touch that one, Tyler.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said before, people should have the autonomy of their own city. As we think about here in Washington D.C. and the fact that residents do not vote federally for them to be for their local law enforcement to be taken over. I think that is the job of when you elect your local city councilmen and your state representatives. That's who should deal with public safety, not the federal government. And what we see here is a total overrun of folks' local autonomy and what they pay their and elect their local officials for. And yet we are seeing the federal government trying to do an overhaul. And we see a fascist regime trying to take over local communities. And I think now is the time for communities to stand up and as organizers are out on the ground to say, no, we're not taking this because we keep our communities safe. And it's not the federal government or the military that will come into our cities and do that for us.
Well, and look right here. Look at this article right here, Rebecca. This is from ProPublica just a couple of years ago. Inside the notorious Indiana gun shop linked to hundreds of Chicago guns. And this story laid out right here. It says over 50 years, West Fourth Sports has helped grow the Indiana business into one of the state's most successful gun retailers. And guess what? What they showed is that how many of these guns, many of them end up there in Chicago. So, yeah, Donald Trump, you want to do, look at this here. One notable example, Darrell Ivory Jr., an Indiana resident who in 2020 purchased 19 firearms from West Fourth, spending over $10,000 in just 6 months. He pleaded guilty, later pled guilty to making false statements on federal background check forms in relation to the 2020 purchases. Took most of those firearms about 12 miles west of West Fourth shop across the state line to Chicago, selling them illegally for profit.
It's amazing how they pick and choose. Like Roland, as your audience know, I used to work for Everytown for Gun Safety. And the issues with guns crossing Indiana through straw sales, through ghost guns, and other ways to subvert the rightful laws that Illinois has put together in an attempt to reduce gun violence, not just in Chicago, but all across the state. Like, look, I am sick and tired. People need to quit being hypocritical and call the thing a thing. So if there are going to be any type of federal agents that are going to be in the Chicagoland area, to your point, it should be on the border of Indiana. And it should be ATF, it should be DEA, it should be the alphabet boys there to make sure that these straw sales aren't crossing state lines. And for your audience, a straw sale is when someone purchases a gun for someone else, when someone purchases a firearm for someone else. Whether they are lying on their application or they're just outright being paid to make a lawful purchase somewhere else to someone who otherwise wouldn't be able to lawfully obtain that particular firearm.
Yep, and so, but they're quite silent on that stuff. All right, speaking of silent, we come back, we're going to talk about the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein calling out, challenging Republicans, and the Trump White House is like, shh, yo. I'm going to need y'all to chill with that. Telling Republicans, don't you dare sign up for this, or we're going to consider this a hostile act. It's a busy day on Capitol Hill, lots of drama. We got it for you. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
This week on The Other Side of Change,
300,000 Black women being pushed out of the workforce.
This is shocking yet unsurprising.
So what happens when a bunch of Black mothers lose their federal job? Their kids are not being fed, their kids are not being taken care of, but that trickles down to the entire community structure, which may be built on the backs of Black mothers and Black women more broadly.
Tune in on The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Next on The Black Table with me, Greg Carr. We welcome the Black Star Network's very own Roland Martin, who joins us to talk about his new book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. The book explains so much about what we're going through in this country right now, and how, as white people head toward becoming a racial minority, it's going to get, well, let's just say, even more interesting.
We are going to see more violence. We're going to see more vitriol, because as each day passes, it is a nail in that coffin.
The one and only Roland Martin on the next Black Table, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
This is your boy, Earthquake.
And you're tuned in to
Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
Well, it was a busy day on Capitol Hill where a number of survivors of sexual predator Jeffrey Epstein, along with Democratic and Republican lawmakers, gathered to urge Congress to release all files related to the Epstein case. Now, lawmakers returned to D.C. facing a busy legislative agenda and the threat of a government shutdown. But Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie, Democratic California Congressman Ro Khanna, they were like, nah, we ain't forgetting what happened to Epstein. Victims joined a group of state representatives to support a discharge petition. To join a group of congressional members to support a discharge petition, a procedural move intended to compel the release of sealed files related to the late sex offender. So far, only 4 Republicans have signed the petition, while GOP leadership is advising members not to support it. House Oversight Committee did release some files from the Justice Department. Most of the documents, including video, audio, and court filings, were already made public. 97% of that was made public. So here's some of what was said today on Capitol Hill. It was, like I say, quite the busy day, folks. And one of the folks who was really vocal was Thomas Massie, and he was saying point blank, hey, I'm not going to sit here and back down, and he just made it perfectly clear. This is one of the survivors who was putting pressure on Republicans.
Come along and speak up so that we can be more of a stronger voice and louder.
And so what is your message to President Trump on this, Maria?
Listen, I don't want to send a direct message to him. I'm already scared enough. Yeah. Just pass the vote, listen to us. This is not a hoax. Like, it's not going to go away. And like I said on my speech earlier, we're not going to be silenced anymore. We will be speaking moving forward. Wherever we need to be, we will be, and we need to pass this.
Go ahead.
Today he come along.
Walk you through. So let me find it. So y'all know all the networks were covering. Oh, so here's a perfect example. So watch this here. All the networks were covering the news conference. Oh, except one. C-SPAN, CNN, MSNBC, ABC News Live, Scripps News. Oh, down there on the right, Fox News happened not to be covering this. I wonder why Fox didn't want to cover a news conference of sexual assault survivors talking about release the Epstein files. Oh, because that could somehow hurt Donald Trump. Oh, now I see. Now I see. I keep telling y'all, they are not a news network. They are the communication arm of the Republican Party. And so whatever Donald Trump wants, Fox News is going to kiss that behind and give to him. Now, you know, one of the folks, again, Thomas Massie, and this is the actual discharge petition. This is what it says. Motion to discharge a committee from the consideration of resolution. This is how you bypass Speaker Mike Johnson. Says to the clerk of the House of Representatives, pursuant to the Clause 2 of Rule 15.1, Thomas Massie moved to discharge the Committee on Rules from the consideration of the resolution H.R. 581, entitled A Resolution Providing for the Consideration of the Bill H.R. 185 to Advance Responsible Policies, which was referred to said committee on July 15, 2025, in support of which the undersigned members of the House of Representatives affixed their signatures, to wit, Thomas Massie. So as we said, 4 Republicans have actually signed it. And Trump has been calling around saying, nope, don't talk, don't talk, don't talk, don't talk, be quiet, do not talk. And what's interesting is you've got people, again, Thomas Massie is a Republican. Go to my iPad. Thomas Massie is a Republican from Kentucky. You got crazy, demented Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, who sucks up to Trump as much as she can, literally saying herself, we should release all of these documents. So all this has been going on. You got Tim Burchett, who has been out here speaking as well, talking about what needs to happen. And saying that, hey, it's a lot that needs to go on. And then you've got, again, and these survivors who came to Capitol Hill, who were sharing their thoughts. This is Congressman Ro Khanna today.
And Brad Edwards for their tireless work in the pursuit of justice. And I want to thank Sarah Drury on my team for working with them. Above all, I want to thank the survivors who are here today, whose courage and strength have brought us to this moment. I want to thank my co-lead, Congressman Thomas Massie, and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene for standing with survivors here today. Today, as you can see, we're united in restoring trust in government. We're here not as partisans, we're here as patriots. We begin the work of bringing this country together, progressives, independents, moderates, and yes, MAGA supporters, to demand truth and justice. A nation that allows rich and powerful men to traffic and abuse young girls without consequence is a nation that has lost its moral and spiritual core. Americans are asking a very simple question. How is it possible that in the richest, most powerful country in the world, there are corrupt special interest forces, both foreign or domestic, that are preventing the release, that have a stranglehold on our government and are preventing the release of the full Epstein files? There is something that is rotten in Washington. Less than 1% of these files have been released. We are demanding today on the discharge petition that all of the files be released. We know we have 212 Democrats, and we have 4 Republicans, courageous Republicans like Thomas Massie, Nancy Mace, who was so emotional yesterday after talking to the survivors, Congresswoman Boebert, and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. We need just 2 more signatures to force the release. So we gather here on the steps of the Capitol to confront these corrupt forces. Today we stand with survivors. We stand against big money. We stand to protect America's children. That is really what this is about. I now want to bring up my Republican colleague, Thomas Massie. He has shown so much courage, so much leadership. And I saw some people, I say the same thing about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She has shown so much courage on this issue. I saw some people when I was coming here calling her names. We've got to stop that. We've got to stop the partisanship on this issue. This is an issue where they both have shown real courage and leadership, and I appreciate them joining us today. Congressman Massie.
I want to thank my colleague Ro Khanna for co-leading this effort to bring transparency and justice for these victims. I hope my colleagues are watching this press conference. I want them to think, what if this was your sister? What if this was your daughter? When these survivors speak, the Washington establishment is asking the American public to believe something that is not believable. They're asking you to believe that 2 individuals created hundreds of victims and they acted alone, and that the DOJ has no idea of who else might have been involved, that nobody else did anything that rose to a criminal enterprise. The American people know that's not true. Now, the Speaker of the House just offered a fig leaf to my colleagues. They're going to vote on a non-binding resolution today that does absolutely nothing. I appreciate the efforts of my colleague James Comer, who's leading the Oversight Committee. They may find some information, but they're allowing the DOJ to curate all of the information that the DOJ is giving them. If you've looked at the pages they've released so far, they're heavily redacted. Some pages are entirely redacted. And 97% of this is already in the public domain. So I'm calling on my colleagues, be one of the next two who sponsors this discharge petition. I think it's shameful that this has been called a hoax. Hopefully today we can clear that up. This is not a hoax. This is real. There are real survivors. There are real victims to this criminal enterprise. And the perpetrators are being protected because they're rich and powerful and political donors to the establishment here in Washington, D.C. So today we're standing with these survivors and we're giving them a voice. And I want to close by thanking them. They are brave. I hope they encourage other survivors to come forward and to tell their stories, not just of Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell, but anywhere in the country. This is a message that we are sending. This is a litmus test. Can we drain the swamp? Are there people who are outside of the reach of the law? I don't think there should be. So hopefully today we'll get 2 more signatures on the discharge petition. That's all we need. And with that, I want to introduce the bravest woman in Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
So what was crazy here, so when you heard Massey say that, look, this is not a hoax, he was talking about that idiot Trump. Like literally, he was talking about Trump. Trump is so desperate for this to go away. He's so desperate for this to go away. He was like, this is a hoax. It's a hoax. It's a hoax. And again, what he does is every time when something happens, what he does is he doesn't want to address the issue. So what he wants to do is he wants to call it a hoax. He wants to, because he wants to deflect it. He wants to say, this is not real. That's what he did today. He's literally in the Oval Office, and he's like, this. When he was asked, this thing, it's a hoax. It's a hoax. It's made up. It's made up. It's made up. And so that is literally his go-to. That's his go-to right here. Here it is. Watch this.
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since.
Calling it a Democratic hoax, Tyler. But the discharge is led by a Republican from Kentucky and backed by Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. I don't get those three confused as being Democrats.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see here that he's trying to really switch the narrative from away from his own party, who's calling for also the release of these files, and folks who have been very, very loyal to his camp. But I would even just say this one thing. It's like this administration seems very determined to distract the public from these Epstein files, but was so willing to release the files with MLK and Emmett Till and other historic moments. I think that there's literally no reason to shield these documents from being released. And I think it's just a clear sign that how wealth and influence and systemic failure allow abuse from these powerful men to be unchecked. And I think it's powerful that that Marjorie Taylor Greene is choosing selective courage, because on any other issue she is far away from it. But I think it speaks volume that his own party is calling for it. He's really trying to shy away from it.
Absolutely. So I love it. Blame the Democrats, Rebecca, even though your own party is leading it.
Roland is so sophomoric and childlike. Oh, it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I absolutely need the reporters in our room to ask the follow-up, the secondary question. Okay, Mr. President, if it is indeed a hoax, tell us why it's a hoax. Explain it and walk us through the elements of why it's a hoax, and explain how it's a hoax. But instead, he's just throwing out words in a very childlike and childish fashion, and there's no analysis behind it. And so it's like you can make whatever claim you want, but you still need to be able to back it up. And this president has not been able to back up most of the things that he's saying from the White House.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's beyond laughable. All right, y'all, got to go to a break. We come back. We're going to talk about the Southern Baptist Convention. Pretty interesting thing they want to announce. But how do you do that without black people? We're going to talk about it with a black preacher out of Texas. Folks, support Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network. As you know, tomorrow is our 7th anniversary of the show. 4th anniversary of the network. And so our goal is between now and December 31st. Let's get the graphic up, folks, the correct one. Our goal is to get of course, to raise $1 million to fund the initiatives that we are doing. You said that's right. So our anniversary is tomorrow, and so we want you to support us. So if you want to support us via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see the QR code right there. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo's RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Checks and money orders make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. Let's make it happen, folks. Back in a moment.
Next on A Balanced Life, here on Black Star Network, we're talking what it means to be a balanced young adult and turning 21. I know 21 is one of those ages where you think you're grown. You can do whatever you want. The law says that you can. But what are you packing in your 21-year-old toolkit that will allow you to not only survive, but to thrive?
You have every right to make whatever decision that you want to make, okay? Because you're grown. Don't go out here and do something and then want to come back and expect somebody else to clean it up for you.
That's all this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
This is Essence Atkins.
Mr. Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon.
It's me, Sherry Shepard, and you know what you watch.
You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, Southern Baptist Convention, once 16 million members strong, now down to 13 million, and they continue to shrink. The SBC is facing criticism over whether it is overwhelmingly white male leadership can lead them into the future. Some leaders, like William Wolf, are rallying around the idea of making Baptists great again. The loudest voices pushing that mission, nearly all white guys. They're literally driving efforts to denounce critical race theory, roll back diversity initiatives, and pass a so-called law amendment that bans women from being pastors. Reverend Dr. William Dwight McKissic, senior pastor of Cornerstone Baptist Church, Arlington, Texas. He posted this response to Wolf's comments on social media. He said, "You can't have a group who adopt as their mission to make Baptists great again, and it's only represented by white males. Their true goal is to make the SBC white again so that they can denounce CRT, DEI, and pass the law amendment that thus far they've been unsuccessful in doing." Well, Pastor McKissic joins us right now. Glad to have you back on the show. It is interesting, make Baptists great again. And to your point, that's a little bit hard to do, as if black folks don't exist, because if you look at the growth of the Southern Baptist Convention, or actually what's actually been keeping them going, hasn't been white churches, been black people.
Good to see you, Roland. Thanks for inviting me. I want to say the group that William Wolf heads, it's a Center for Baptist Leadership. He named it. He used to work for the Trump administration. I think that Making Baptists Great Again is a spinoff of, MAGA, Making America Great Again. He worked as an intern for Dr. Al Mohler, who would probably represent probably the only one of the few cabinet members who would be so vocal on some of the things regarding DEI. He was adamantly opposed to passing the CRT resolution that was passed, much to the dismay of that whole Making Baptist Great Again crowd. They're mad going back to a resolution was passed that myself and other black pastors to affirm the election of President Obama in 2008. The vote took place 2009 as a matter of historic event, not to say you embrace all of his ideology or political belief systems, but just to acknowledge the fact that it was quite a historic feat for this country. The hands that used to pick cotton had now picked presidents, and so the majority voted to affirm the historic election of Obama. But that the group that William would represent was angry about CRT, angry about the Southern Baptist Convention has not succeeded. They denounced the curse of Ham, which was their theological position for years, that blacks descended from Ham. Ham was cursed, therefore all blacks were cursed. So that justified their slavery policies and practices, segregation, on and on. So in actuality, when it comes to vote, and even tried to exclude women from even serving as associate pastor of women, associate pastor of children. They don't want the word pastor, which the Bible does not back, in any way associated with the woman. So this group is sort of feeling defeated, and therefore Wolf has created this, I think based on votes, they're somewhat in the minority, but there's a growing sentiment and a MAGA element that will support, that want to go now and legislate again or review the issues we've talked about. And so that's what brings us here today. And I just hate to see what once was an organization, a lot of black campuses, Southern University, Baton Rouge, University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff, probably Texas Southern and Prairie View, where Southern Baptists had outreaches to college students that were quite impactful. I could just name a lot of positive stuff that has taken place through the Southern Baptist Convention, some directly connected to black people, but with the advent of Trump, and it was my projection that they would morph it to being the Trump Baptist Convention, and we're seeing a movement for they no longer have any shame in that game. They're moving in the direction to take on just about all the policies of Donald Trump.
Yeah, they absolutely have sold out to Donald Trump. In fact, this was a tweet posted last year by William Wolf. A key pillar of any truly Christian biblical justice reform would be an increased use of capital punishment, both in increasing offenses punishable by death and more swiftly executing those sentenced to death, would serve as a major deterrent and help protect the vulnerable. Bishop, Pastor, here's reality. That's a lie. The death penalty has not served as a deterrent. It is not. We have not seen a dramatic drop in capital murders in this country because of the death penalty. But what you have is you have folks, and again, they love the Catholic Church position on abortion, but they don't want to talk about the Catholic Church's position on the death penalty, which they artfully oppose.
Right. This is the law and order crowd that want to keep the Epstein files concealed. Wolf and Al Mohler, several of them have gone on record. They don't believe you can be a genuine, authentic, born-again believer, go to heaven if you vote for a Democrat, which I find a very ludicrous position to take, even if people think independent, vote independent, and vote on either side. But to tie how you vote to salvation, it contradicts the very belief system of the Southern Baptist Convention. It was saved by grace through faith and not of works. It's a gift of God. So for them to say your vote has an impact on whether or not you're saved or can go to heaven, that's hearsay of the highest order. But that's what the William Wolf crowd represents. And if they get totally in charge of the SBC, lights out, particularly for most of us in the National African American Fellowship. The Chinese Baptists have even gone on record disagreeing with them wanting to pass a law amendment because they recognize women being gifted and can have the spiritual gift of pastoring. And the Hispanic groups, the minority groups, don't feel as the others, then that's why they have not. And you said we're 20% minority as a convention, and that's why they have not been successful in passing the votes to turn us back to another era.
And this guy, he wants Christian nationalism. This is him on a right-wing podcast, and this is what he says. And I'm trying to figure out what's so Christian about what he had to say. Listen to this.
I've said it like this before, right? The Democrats hate God, they hate family, they hate marriage, they hate children, they hate our nation. So, like, figure out what it looks like to pursue a policy agenda that, you know, that displays a hatred for all those things which are, you know, fundamentally a part of what we would call the true, the good, and the beautiful. And that's.
Come on. See, and again, this is the game they play. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of pastors, okay, who vote Democrat. Say they hate God, they hate family, they hate children. I mean, that's just sheer stupidity. But this is what the right loves.
Yeah, William Wolf, and I need to get better at my screenshot game, but he wouldn't deny it. He put out a tweet 2 to 3 years ago on this Christian nationalism that the Anglo-Protestantism work ethic is what made America great. And what he means by nationalism is the white Protestants being the standard by which we judge greatness. And he specifically said Anglo. I mean, he didn't hide that fact. And so you're not just talking about, and again, if we talk about Christian nationalism, what Christian we talking about? Not Turner Brand of Christian and being a Baptist, or are we talking about William Wolf's and Al Mohler's brand of being a Christian and Baptist? So much is fundamentally flawed by that whole Christian nationalism way of thinking that he wants to not only impose on the nation, they want to begin by imposing it on the Southern Baptist Convention, want to bind the conscience of the convention to that right-wing ideology that I find detestable and deplorable.
See, they want a theocracy. They believe in No, they don't believe in Christian nationalism. They believe in white, right-wing Christian nationalism.
Absolutely.
That is what they believe in.
And I am sort of surprised with some of the voting going against them on so many ways. They are relentless to keep raising these issues. And I just pray that a convention that should be in the business about the kingdom of God, Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world, will not turn the clock back in such a way it becomes only appealing and a compelling convention to the nationalistic movement. Again, he said the Anglo-Protestant is the standard by which he wants the policies, the philosophy, the vision of America to be. Not just all believers, not all evangelicals, the Anglo-Protestants.
In fact, this is not tied to this story, but I saw this clip earlier. And this is a Missouri Republican United States Senator Eric Schmidt. And he's speaking at a national conservative conference. And see, these two things go together, okay? They go together, okay? And listen to what he says and listen to who he says this country is supposed to be for.
The Continental Army soldiers dying of frostbite at Valley Forge. The Pilgrims struggling to survive in the hard winter soil of Plymouth. The pioneers striking out from Missouri for the wild and dangerous frontier. The outnumbered Kentucky settlers repelling wave after wave of Indian war band attacks from beyond the stockade walls. All of them will be astonished to hear that they were only fighting for a proposition. They believed they were fighting for a nation, a homeland for themselves and their descendants. They fought, they bled, they struggled, they died for us. They built this country for us. America, in all its glory, is their gift to us, handed down across the generations. It belongs to us. It's our birthright. It's our heritage, our destiny. If America is everything and everyone, then it is nothing and no one at all. When they tear down our statues and monuments, mock our history, and insult our traditions, they're attacking our future as well as our past. By changing the stories we tell about ourselves, they believe they can build a new America with the new myths, a new people. But America doesn't belong to them. It belongs to us. It's our home. It's a heritage entrusted to us by our ancestors. It's a way of life that is ours and only ours. If we disappear, then America too will cease to exist.
Pastor McKissic, who's us? Who's our? The way I see that, he ain't talking about me and you.
Absolutely. I asked that question several years ago in Louisiana when they wanted to say the convention was against Russell Moore, which is also at the root of this. And they say, we're against it. Who is we? It's certainly not the black components or the more progressive. Russell Moore spoke out against police brutality, and that brought about the anger of people like William Wolfe. Paul Pressler, before he passed, stood before an all-white audience at Southern Seminary and said the wrong side won the Civil War, and they burst out with laughter and applause. Russell Moore got up and walked out of the room because he recognized that Paul Pressler should not have even felt comfortable to make such a statement. But when you say the wrong side won the Civil War, and Al Mohler at the time was on record as believing in the lost cause. So when they say us or we, they're talking about people who adhere to the philosophy of a Paul Pressler, a Al Mohler, a William Wolfe, and they're not talking about a Fred Luter, who was the first president in the history of Southern Baptist Convention to go on NBC and denounce police brutality. So the Great Commission includes everybody and involves everybody, but we soon discover when in 2012, they nominated a great conservative resurgence committee. And when I looked at it, they had one or two Hispanics, but 25 people to a committee to make the Southern Baptist Convention great again, evangelism, missions, revival, baptisms, and they left any black female or black male completely off the committee.
And of course, Pressler makes that particular comment, but I wonder what that same Bible says about sexual assault of men.
Well, yeah, there's been some discoveries about him, some credible accusations, which means...
And the SBC settled many of those lawsuits when several men accused him. But again, it shows you the hypocrisy where a Paul Pressler, come on, go to my iPad. This is the photo of him. This is the New York Times obit when he died at 94. And also, he was a former judge. He's a former judge. It's amazing how they are so morally superior, but not in all things.
The fact that they've never publicly acknowledged his ills or that his practices were totally counterculture to what they say our belief systems are is pure hypocrisy to me. And they are upset with Russell Moore because he put on a MLK 50 in Memphis, 7 or 8 years ago, and it's very successful, very powerful, brought Southern Baptists together across racial lines and college students in a powerful way. But the William Wolfe crowd totally opposed it behind their belief that there's some missteps and imperfections and immoral acts on behalf of Martin Luther King. The Bible said all have sinned, fallen short of the glory of God. That's not to excuse anybody, but I have a difficult time how they can be so compassionate or ignore the sins, the failures of a Paul Pressler, while at the same time, if you bring up Martin Luther King in any context, you'll have 25, 30% of Southern Baptists going to talk about an FBI report, and that same group would vote to close the Epstein files. Hypocrisy on steroids.
Absolutely, and this is Christianity Today. Their story died. Disgraced Southern Baptist leader Paul Pressler, the Texas judge behind the political strategy for the conservative resurgence, molested and assaulted teenage boys, according to allegations 8 men made in court. The thing that we have to, and the basis of my book, White Fear, Pastor McKissic, the base, and I said it, White Fear, how the browning of America is making white folks lose their minds. And I made it perfectly clear that what we are seeing, the attacks on undocumented folks, the effort to defund Black America, now all of a sudden you see these same so-called right-wing Christians, now they're complaining about the immigration in Europe. They're complaining about birth rates. They're following Elon Musk there. And what they're complaining about are white birth rates. What this is all about, and I saw it coming, they are scared to death of America becoming a nation, majority of people of color. And that's why that speech by a sitting United States Senator, and you know what's amazing? Not a single one of these national television shows has talked about that, where this man is a United States Senator and he is preaching a white nationalist, white supremacist ideology. And what these folks are advocating for, they want whiteness to be to maintain power. You've got people Donald Trump has hired who have actually said we are better off if we have more white men who are in power. That's what's driving this whole agenda. Whiteness is what's driving it.
And that's what's meant by make the Baptists great again. The agenda you're referring to, and in the whole history of the SBC, there was one Black nominated to be an entity head, and we had to fight real hard for that to happen. Unfortunately, he had misrepresented his resume and was disqualified, but there's still no, if you go on the Southern Baptist website today, everybody who makes $500,000 or more, huge salaries, the most powerful people in the convention, every last one of them is a white male in 2025 after having been integrated since 1954. So to see this backpedaling from previous years, when I was growing up in terms of camps, terms of missions outreach, in many ways, I was shocked to discover as a 20-some-year-old that the Southern Baptist has such a racist history and advocates of slavery. I didn't know their origin and development because growing up in a Black Baptist context that had friendly relationships with Southern Baptists, I was just appalled and shocked at their history. And there were concerted efforts to change this and major steps being made. But the group, they labeled a group that believed in racial healing and reconciliation as moderates, and they've since dislodged many of them from the convention, and the people in charge today prefer not to deal with those kinds of matters and take us back to another era. It's really disturbing. And I appreciate you even giving that you find this subject matter interesting enough to know it's not in the best interest of the country, let alone not in the best interest of Southern Baptists.
Well, they have been more Southern than Baptists in their history. And we're going to close it with this here. This is a look at the executive committee members of the Southern Baptist Convention. And you see what it looks like. You got this one sister who's a principal.
Well, actually, that is not the executive.
This is the...
They're non-entity heads.
Okay.
They are executive committee members, but they are not the executive entity heads. Those are volunteer people.
Gotcha. So that's the executive committee. So they have on their website here, they have executive committee members, executive committee staff. But if you click the SBC, and it lays out their executive committee is comprised of 86 representatives. But then,
when we talk about executive entity heads, that would be 6 seminaries, the North American Mission Board, the International Mission Board, and Lifeway. Who has those particular 9 entities? They are salaried people. None of those are a minority or female, and that's what I mean by
gotcha. So you're saying they may have an executive committee, but the power of the SBC resides in the hands of the other folk.
Exactly. I did a 7-floor interview. When I say interview, I asked in a meeting I was in, I want to meet the highest ranking Black in this building, 7 floors. They took me on the elevator tour, and I says, who is that? Who might that person be? Introduce me to that person. And discovered that the highest ranking Black in that building, this was 10 plus years ago, was the head janitor. And later, a lower level Black employee told me he was not even the head janitor. He was a mid-level custodian. So at the entire facility, 7 floors.
Wow.
There was not one Black.
Like I said, more Southern than Baptist. Pastor McKissic, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
God bless you. Appreciate you, Roland.
Thank you very much. Rebecca, the point that I keep making that people have to understand here is that we cannot walk away from the reality of whiteness, of white nationalism. It's in our faces. These people have made these comments, and they're serving in Trump's administration. The Proud Boys said, we don't need to march anymore. We're now on the inside. This is what we're dealing with. That speech by Schmidt, that was pure white supremacy. And when he was saying us, this is ours, he said it, it wasn't meant for anybody else.
Roland, this is the particular disturbing thing about it. Like, I think a month and a half ago, I was talking to your audience about what the 3%ers belief is. That there's only 3 categories of people who are deserving of being in this country. Those who are veterans, Black folks who are descended of American slavery, only so we can continue to serve. And then the Anglo-Saxons, the WASP. The thing about Eric Schmidt, like I was doing some Googling during this segment, just to make sure I could verify. First of all, Eric Schmidt is not even white by the standards of the ideology that he is trying to propagate. First of all, if you go to his official bio, it shows that his family has been in this country for about 6 generations. If you are a white person in this country in 2025 and your family did not get here before 1840, you're not even a part of this, the founders or the us, or you're not even a part of this. Your family became whitewashed and was allowed legally to then practice and become white. Even his family's surname, that's not an Anglo-Saxon surname. That's more of a German. He's more of a descent from like the Germany region. And so it's amazing that he's taking on the role of whiteness, of which he doesn't even qualify for, according to the ideology that he's trying to espouse. The other thing about these evangelicals and these white evangelicals that's so troubling to me, for the last few decades, they've been warning us that the Antichrist is coming. But then the white supremacist in chief gets elected, and all of a sudden, we no longer hear any of those churches talking about how the Antichrist is coming. Like, wake up. They are preaching and promoting a white nationalism. They're not promoting ideology. This is also the ideology that said that slavery of Black folks in this country was okay. And this is the same ideology that told Black folks that you're not even a full human. So that's what we're dealing with here. And they actually are hell-bent on trying to create a theocracy in this country because they want to retain power, especially as we see the white population eventually become a racial minority in this country. They want to entrench themselves into power. And that's what this thing is about.
Again, what we're dealing with is pure racism. And check this out. This is his tweet right here, Tyler. We're not sorry. Why would we be sorry? America is the most magnificent heritage ever known to man. We can no longer apologize for who we are. Now, this took place at what's called NatCon. Whose conference is this? Peter Thiel, the billionaire white South African who financed J.D. Vance's U.S. Senate campaign. I want y'all to play again what Schmidt had to say. And did we have the whole speech by Schmidt, or do we just have the this clip here? Okay. I want us to get his whole speech so everybody can hear the racism. And I want y'all to understand, this racist is representing the state of Missouri. Play it.
The Continental Army soldiers dying of frostbite at Valley Forge, the Pilgrims struggling to survive in the hard winter soil of Plymouth, the pioneers striking out from Missouri for the wild and dangerous frontier, the outnumbered Kentucky settlers repelling wave after wave of Indian war band attacks from beyond the stockade walls. All of them will be astonished to hear that they were only fighting for a proposition. They believed they were fighting for a nation, a homeland for themselves and their descendants. They fought, they
thought that they were fighting for a nation that would be only for themselves and their descendants, meaning only white people from Europe. Press play.
They struggled, they died for us. They built this country for us. America, in all its glory, is their gift to us, handed down across the generations. It belongs to us. It's our birthright. It's our heritage, our destiny. If America is everything and everyone, then it is nothing and no one at all.
If America is everything and everyone, so give me your tired, give me your poor, y'all, they ain't never believe that. It's about whiteness. Press play.
When they tear down our statues and monuments, mock our history, and insult our traditions, they're attacking our future as well as our past. By changing the stories we tell about ourselves, they believe they can build a new America with the new myths, a new people. But America doesn't belong to them. It belongs to us. It's our home. It's a heritage entrusted to us by our ancestors. It's a way of life that is ours and only ours. If we disappear, then America too will cease to exist.
Doesn't belong to them, it belongs to us. Can't be more racist than that, Tyler.
Yeah, that's very, very blatant racism. And the fact that it's coming from a sitting U.S. senator, I think, is very disgraceful. My question to him, did he forget that this nation was built on stolen labor and enslaved Africans in the stolen land?
Oh, no, Tyler, stop it. That's you rewriting history. That didn't happen. Stop it.
Absolutely. And he forgot all these basic principles. As even mentioned before, he is already outside of the club. So how is he even talking about what's his and the statues that's his? But yet we are fighting every single day to even teach our history in our schools and our classrooms. And they're taking artifacts out of our museums and sending it back. So, I mean, it's very, very disgraceful. And it's like America belongs to us, you know, the generation who generation after generation continue to fight for this freedom, even when this nation denies it to us at every turn. That is who America belongs to. And I say this is very disgraceful and is very blatant in white supremacy and the suppression of Black, brown, and indigenous voices here in this nation.
Something tells me, Rebecca, that little Eric Schmidt, he never actually heard this from the first Black woman elected from the South to Congress. This is Barbara Jordan at the Watergate hearings of Richard Nixon in 1974.
Is the gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Jordan, the purpose of general debate not to exceed a period of 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Jordan.
Mr. Chairman, I join my colleague, Mr. Rangel, in thanking you for giving the junior members of this committee the glorious opportunity of sharing the pain of this inquiry. Mr. Chairman, you are a strong man, and it has not been easy, but we have tried as best we can to give you as much assistance as possible. Earlier today, we heard the beginning of the preamble to the Constitution of the United States. We the people. It's a very eloquent beginning. But when that document was completed on the 17th of September in 1787, I was not included in that we the people. I felt somehow for many years that George Washington and Alexander Hamilton just left me out by mistake. But through the process of amendment, interpretation, and court decision, I have finally been included in we the people.
Schmidt, he's saying, no, you're not. And I don't know how many times I've said this. I don't know how many times I played this. Listen, this scene, it says everything you need to know and understand about how these racists view this country. And for Senator Eric Schmidt, this scene in The Good Shepherd says everything that needs to be said to understand how these people feel. And they really feel, and I'm telling y'all, this is why I wrote the book, White Fear. They absolutely believe that America is for white people, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, and the rest of y'all can go to hell. This is that great scene from The Good Shepherd. It's really a 48-second scene. I'll leave the front on. Now, I hate that Joe Pesci, how they wrote it in referencing black people, they use the N-word. But what Matt Damon's character said, playing a WASP Secret Service of a CIA agent, this scene speaks to what Schmidt was talking about and what the Southern Baptist Convention leaders are talking about and what these people standing up with Trump are talking about. They do not want anyone in this country except white people in power. Listen.
Talk to me about.
The government's about to deport you for certain activities.
I'm in this country since I'm 2 months old. Does that make me Italian? I'm American. And they're trying to send me back?
I could have the deportation order reviewed. Have you classified as highly sensitive for national security? I could take the government off your back if you can help us.
Usually the guys that scare me. You're the people that make big wars.
No, we make sure the wars are small ones, Mr. Palmer.
Let me ask you something. We Italians, we got our families and we got the church. The Irish, they have the homeland. The Jews, their tradition. Even the niggers, they got their music. What about you people, Mr. Carlson? What do you have?
The United States of America. The rest of you are just visiting.
That look right there, Rebecca, from Joe Pesci at the end, says all you need to know. Damon's character was speaking for the millions of people like Missouri Republican United States Senator Eric Schmidt, who's a piece of shit.
Try to talk about how it's his heritage. And he started to quote about things that happened at Valley Forge. It is so disingenuous. According to his own bio, his family didn't get here until 125 years at least after Valley Forge. So what do you mean by heritage? You know, that's the first thing. The next thing is, this is not about theology, because he's talking to the Southern Baptist Convention. And once again, according to his bio, he is Roman Catholic. So what are we talking about? It's not about his heritage, because that would be factually incorrect. It's not about his theology, because that would be factually incorrect according to his own information that he has put out into the public. So at that point, this thing is about white nationalism. That's what he supports. That's what he promulgates. And people have to be very clear about what it is that we're seeing, what we're experiencing. And for people who aren't comfortable with calling out white nationalism, you better get really comfortable, because that's where we're at in the historical timeline of this country.
Tyler.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, even it's very dangerous towards true liberation, as we're talking about evangelical Christians and weaponizing scripture to defend slavery and segregation, and as you said today, voter suppression and attacks on reproductive freedom. And all this aligns with, as you said, white nationalism. And I think when we talk about this whole, we touched on the slogan, you know, make Baptists great again. We must break back into that radical love of the church, being a radical force of freedom, racial equity, and centered in love. And I think we must, as Black folks, determine what that looks like for us, because we know that these evangelical Christians do not represent the interests or the true liberation that we know we deserve as Black people.
Absolutely. All right, folks, going to go to a break. We come back. What happens when you are a MAGA Republican? You allegedly beat a woman. The cops in D.C. want to file charges against you. But the Trump U.S. attorney says, nah, we're good. We're going to excuse that. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, wants this Republican censured. We'll show you her speech next, right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr, we welcome the Black Star Network's very own Roland Martin, who joins us to talk about his new book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. The book explains so much about what we're going through in this country right now, and how, as white people head toward becoming a racial minority, it's going to get, well, let's just say, even more interesting.
We are going to see more violence. We're going to see more vitriol, because as each day passes, it is a nail in that coffin.
The one and only Roland Martin on the next Black Table, right here on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change,
300,000 Black women being pushed out of the workforce.
This is shocking yet unsurprising.
So what happens when a bunch of Black mothers lose their federal job? Their kids are not being fed, their kids are not being taken care of, but that trickles down to the entire community structure, which may be built on the backs of Black mothers and Black women more broadly.
Tune in on The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Farquhar, executive producer of Proud Family.
Bruce Smith, creator and executive producer of The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
So I'm going to play you one more bite from this absolutely racist speech by Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt. Remember earlier when I talked about what he said, we're not apologizing? This is actually what he had to say.
America's not a universal nation. It is something distinctive, unique, and real, unlike any other place or people in the history of mankind. We're a nation of settlers, explorers, pioneers, born on the ocean waters that carried the first ships to our shores and forged in the crucible of a wild frontier. Our people tamed a continent, built a civilization from the wilderness, and wrote our nation's name into history. All nations die. Most are quickly forgotten, confined to the footnotes of the ages. But thousands of years from now, when we and our country are long gone, people will still know the name America because of what these Americans achieved. The people who built our country were not villains. They're heroes. We can no longer apologize for who we are. We're not sorry. Why would we be sorry? America is the proudest and most magnificent heritage ever known to man.
He's proud of that. And first of all, to his team, you are idiots. You don't have your music louder than your audio. That's just basic editing there. But this is, I need people to understand the language here. Oh, we're not apologizing. And you notice that fictitious, they forged a nation out of the wilderness. So we're just going to skip over what funded the country? That's just little pesky details. See, what this is right here is in preparation for next year, the 250th anniversary of the country. See, what's going to happen next year? You're going to hear speeches like this here. The attack of Trump on the Smithsonian, this is why they're doing that. Why did the U.S. Holocaust Museum temporarily remove a display that said that Jews were being denied entry into the United States in World War II? Why would you take that down? See, there is a desire to present his story and not history. And so when this Eric Schmidt stands up and proudly discusses the white heritage of America. Oh, he didn't say white, but we knew what he meant. We knew exactly what he meant. And what they are saying right now, oh no, we're not apologizing for any of that. Oh, we're not going to turn our backs on that. Remember the earlier clip? They took down our really? When you say our statues and monuments, do tell. Which ones? The ones of Robert E. Lee, Nathan Bedford Forrest, and all the other Confederate white domestic terrorists? Is that who you're talking about? I need people to understand what we're dealing with. Y'all, he is one of 100 United States senators. He's the junior senator from the state of Missouri. That means that every black person in Kansas City, St. Louis, all the other states, all the other cities in there, that's the United States senator. And what he is saying to them, I don't see y'all as American. If you're Latino in Missouri, he's saying, I don't see you as an American. The only people I see as American are the white folks who are descendants from the white folks who came here. As Rebecca's already pointed out, that actually, in fact, he doesn't include his dumbass. But he surely has adopted their white nationalist language. And this is why we keep telling y'all, when you don't vote, that's who wins. When you sit elections out, that's who have power. The best way to get back at an Eric Schmidt is to send his ass packing and show him what real power looks like. Black power, brown power, non-white power. And then we can say, how about them apples, Eric? You said it wasn't for us, but we sure sent your ass packing. Let's see if we actually do that. Shalon, let's talk about another Republican. This Republican, living in an upscale residential high-rise in D.C., owes lots of money, stopped paying his bill. They evicted his ass. I'm talking about Florida Republican Congressman Cory Mills, accused of harassment, assault, stolen valor, invoking a procedure. So all this going on. So Congresswoman Yvette Clarke was like, hey man, what's going on here? Now let me help y'all out. What's crazy about this here, okay? The Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department wanted to file charges against him. The U.S. attorney said, nah, we're not going to do that. So now all of a sudden, case closed. Really? What's going on? I'm not understanding what's going on. Now, Republicans, they want to censure New Jersey Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, who faces charges resulting from a clash with officials at an ICE detention center in New Jersey. But why are they so quiet about one of their own? So Congresswoman Yvette Clarke was like, I got a few things to say.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from New York seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Clause 2A1 of Rule 9, I rise to give notice of my intention to raise a question of the privileges of the House, in the form of a resolution as is follows. Whereas Representative Cory Mills has on several occasions conducted himself in a manner that reflects discredit upon the House of Representatives. Whereas on February 19th of 2025, Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department officers were called to resolve a private matter at Representative Cory Mills' residence, where officers were called to the 1300th block of Maryland Avenue Southwest around 1:15 p.m. for the report of an assault. Whereas the police reports obtained by NBC4 Washington confirmed that the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department was investigating Representative Cory Mills for an alleged assault of a 27-year-old woman that took place on February 19, 2025 at the residence of Representative Cory Mills. And whereas the first police report provided to NBC4 Washington by a source and confirmed by a second source familiar with the investigation said that the 27-year-old woman accused her significant other for over a year of having grabbed her, shoved her, and pushed her out the door. And also said the woman involved showed the officers bruises on her arm which appeared fresh. And whereas NBC4 Washington also reported that the Metropolitan Police Department identified Representative Cory Mills as the significant other of the alleged victim of assault, which alleged victim was a 27-year-old woman who was not the wife of Representative Cory Mills, and that the alleged victim let officers hear Subject 1, now identified by MPD as Mills, instruct her to lie about the origin of her bruises. Eventually, Subject 1 made contact with police and admitted that the situation escalated from verbal to physical, but it was severe enough to create bruising. Whereas on February 21st, 2025, the Washington Post also confirmed 2 D.C. police officials said that the alleged victim of assault initially told a 911 operator and police that she had been assaulted, and that officers said she also had what seemed to be visible injuries, and that while a supervisor initially classified the offense internally as a family disturbance, police commanders later learned of the incident, reviewed the reports and body cam footage from the responding officers, and classified the case as domestic violence assault. And whereas on February 21st, 2025, NBC4 Washington also reported that the Metropolitan Police Department determined that probable cause to arrest Representative Cory Mills for misdemeanor assault existed and sent an arrest warrant for Representative Cory Mills to the United States Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia. However, then acting United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, Ed Martin, refused to sign the arrest warrant for Representative Cory Mills and instead returned the case to the Metropolitan Police Department for further investigation. Whereas on July 14, 2025, a different former romantic partner of Representative Cory Mills, who was apparently in a relationship with Representative Mills from November 2021 to February of 2025, reported to authorities in Florida that Representative Mills threatened to release nude images and other intimate videos of her and threatened to harm her future romantic partners in retaliation for her decision to end a relationship with Representative Mills after seeing the public records described above concerning the alleged February 2025 physical assault. Whereas in August of 2024, the Office of Congressional Conduct adopted and transmitted to the Committee on Ethics of the House of Representatives a report indicating that there was substantial reason to believe that Representative Cory Mills may have omitted or misrepresented required information in his financial disclosure statements, accepted excessive contributions to his campaign committee in the form of personal loans, and contributions may not have derived from Representative Cory Mills' personal funds, entered into, held, or enjoyed contracts with federal agencies while he was a member of Congress, and may have accepted through his campaign committee in-kind contributions or other contributions not lawfully made. Whereas individuals who served with Representative Cory Mills have called into question the veracity of the accounts of events which formed the basis of a recommendation that Representative Cory Mills receive an award of a Bronze Star bestowed in 2021 for his service under enemy fire in Iraq in 2003. Whereas in August of 2024, Representative Cory Mills provided the Daytona Beach News with documents purporting to prove that he earned a Bronze Star with heroism, including a Department of Army Form 638 recommending Representative Cory Mills for a Bronze Star, which includes a signature from then Army Brigade Commander Arnold N. Gordon Bray. However, retired Brigadier General Bray told the Daytona Beach News Journal in August of 2024 that he did not sign a Bronze Star recommendation for Representative Cory Mills. And whereas 5 people who served with Representative Cory Mills, including 2 men who were reported as having been personally saved by Representative Cory Mills at great risk to his own life as a basis for the recommendation for his Bronze Star in the Department of the Army Form 638, disputed that Representative Cory Mills was involved in their rescue or providing life-saving care. Whereas one private first class cited as having been involved in one of the listed achievements on Representative Cory Mills' Army Form 638, recommending him for a Bronze Star, denied that Representative Cory Mills provided him any aid, and also denied his injuries were life-threatening. Whereas one sergeant cited as having been involved in one of the listed achievements on Representative Cory Mills' Army Form 638, recommending him for a Bronze Star, called the account a fabrication, and claimed that he was not involved in any claims that Cory Mills makes about me. And whereas despite the numerous available contradictions of the accounts forming the basis of the recommendation for his Bronze Star, Representative Cory Mills described the legitimate factual disputes raised by individuals he purportedly served with and rescued as, quote, slander and defamation, end quote, in a statement to the Daytona Beach News. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Representative Cory Mills be censured. Representative Cory Mills forthwith presents himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. And whereas Representative Cory Mills be censured with the public reading of the resolution by the Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to a question of the privileges of the House and offer the resolution that was previously noticed.
Now, we're waiting to actually see what they move on that. We will say this here, that 7 Republicans, 5 voted no, 2 voted present. So they knocked down the Republicans' effort to actually censure Congresswoman McIver. This is actually how C-SPAN had the news.
The banks did not protect us.
So 207 present or 2, the motion is adopted, and without objection, the reconsider is laid on the table.
So all Democrats voted to table the censure. Again, 7 Republicans crossed, 5 voted no, 2 voted present. It was interesting here, Tylik, is that here you got Republicans doing all they can to protect Florida Congressman Cory Mills. I mean, what does it say? I thought this is the party of law and order. Oh, Trump is talking about how he's made D.C. safe. Clearly not if you're a woman and you're near Cory Mills.
Yeah. Also, and if you are connected to power, I think censoring is the first step, but we also know that the cost of unchecked hate because we live it every day. But I think it also is a part of affirming the ongoing work to dismantle this idea that if you are connected to power, that you are somehow above the law. And I think it often goes that justice is selective. And it's influenced by the folks who are in power. But we must do the work to ensure that justice is not selective and those connected to power are still held accountable.
Rebecca.
Look, this is also a nonpartisan issue as well, or at least it should be. Because think about what the Democrats done with folks within their ranks that it had become publicly known about various sexual abuse or other issues, especially within like the last 5 or 10 years. Bottom line is predators do not belong in the Congress. Like, period, full stop. Like, this shouldn't even be a thing that we have to go back and forth and debate and discuss. And the nerve to try to censure her for actually coming with receipts. It's not like she made this up, So what exactly were they censuring or attempting to censure her for?
Yeah, this is how they all roll. But I mean, this is what happens. All right, y'all, got to go to a break. Actually, before I do that, Republican lawmakers are refusing to honor again Capitol Hill police officers who defended lawmakers during the January 6th attack. Y'all, here's what's crazy: the law was passed to erect this plaque. The Republicans won't do it. The House Rules Committee last night voted down an amendment that would have required Speaker Mike Johnson to hang the plaque commemorating their bravery. Again, a plaque already mandated by law. The bronze memorial, approved in 2022, remains locked away in the Capitol basement, never to be installed. With Republican leadership stalling, the officers who risked their lives that day are still waiting for the recognition they deserve. Here are Republicans voting again to deny that honor.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, the question's on the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the noes have
I
it.
ask for a roll call vote, Madam Chair.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach.
No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? No. Mr. Roy, no. Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack? No. Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern? Aye. Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Negus? Mr. Negus, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 9 nays.
Noes have it. The amendment's not agreed to.
So y'all know, the Capitol Hill police officers are still protecting those scumbags today. These people do not support cops, Rebecca. They're trash.
Roland, I'm imagining every single police union across the country, have they had their press conference? Have they issued their press statements condemning them?
Nope.
Oh, wait, they haven't?
Nope.
I mean, after all, there were police officers who have died as a result of January 6th, and the police unions are nowhere to be found?
Nope.
Like, can they be reached for comment? It's just silence?
Yep.
Huh.
That's how they roll, Tyler.
Absolutely, they reward treason and punish loyalty, and we simply expose the system that values power over people. And this is really no surprise. And it's crazy to me that the folks who risk their lives to protect these lawmakers and still protect them to this day, while they're simultaneously pardoning insurrectionists who carried out the violence, and as we know, awarding folks and families millions of dollars who were insurrectionists. It's just crazy to me.
Speaking of crazy, let's go to Florida. Florida's poised to become the first state to eliminate all childhood vaccine mandates. Why? Well, because Republican Governor Ron DeSantis appointed an idiot to be the state Surgeon General. Now, DeSantis is framing this as a win for, quote, medical freedom. His Surgeon General, the incompetent Dr. Joseph Ladapo, he literally condemned vaccine requirements in schools and childcare as an immoral intrusion on parental rights, actually liking it to slavery.
The Florida Department of Health, in partnership with the governor, is going to be working to end all vaccine mandates in Florida law. All of them. Every last one of them. Every last one of them is wrong and drips with disdain and slavery. Okay? Who am I as a government, or anyone else, or who am I as a man standing here now to tell you what you should put in your body? Who am I to tell you what your child should put in your body? I don't have that right. Your body is a gift from God. What you put into your body, is because of your relationship with your body and your God. I don't have that right. Government does not have that right. They want you to believe they have that right. And unfortunately, they've been successful. They've been successful.
Rebecca, I've never served in the military, but if I'm correct, the military mandates vaccines for soldiers. Isn't that the government mandating and telling you what to do?
You know, Roland, respectfully, this is why people like Yvette Carnell has the positions that she has the positions on. Because we literally have someone who people, and especially those conservatives in that state under DeSantis, would view as, look at this black man. When in reality, even his family story, I believe he is recently from Nigeria. he's now placed in a position of power, and he's doing harm to many Black folks in Florida by backing this BS that we're seeing from these crazy folks who are trying to pass laws and do things in the name of white supremacy. The reason why I want to point that out is because I think it's important, because we're starting to see how different Black folks, so we usually say all kinfolk, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And what's unfortunate is he had the nerve to put together his lips to talk about vaccines in a way and say it's just like slavery. And the slavery that my ancestors are descendants of and had dealt with. Like, I would never say anything like that because it's ahistorical. It's not even correct. But to even put together my lips to say something like that, to push this authoritarian regime that we're seeing that's happening in Florida, like, it's diabolical, and intentionally putting someone who is Black race, who has brown skin, and to have them propagating their particular agenda, it's hateful. And that's something that I think we're going to have to start to explore more and understand what's happening and how Black faces can also be used to propagate white supremacy in this country. This is horrible what's happening in Florida.
This is a so-called doctor, Tylik.
Yeah, absolutely. It's deeply ironic and dangerous to me that many Republicans who champion, who say there's your body, your choice when it comes to vaccine are the same ones who attack abortion access and reproductive freedom. The selective opportunity to defend body autonomy only when it suits them is a little, wild to me, and it's really dangerous. And to compare, as said before, this mandate to slavery is really an insult to our ancestors who lived through the brutality of enslavement, because slavery wasn't, it wasn't not this public health policy issue. It was dehumanization, it was violence, it was generational trauma. And to use this Black face to talk about this is dangerous, and it minimizes the Black suffering and really distorts our history, which they try to revamp every single day. But it's really wild to me that they want to talk about body autonomy, while on the same end, the same ones who are heavy on the attack of abortion access.
So, folks, when kids in Florida start dying, blame DeSantis and blame this idiot. Got to go to a break. We come back. Time for our Tech Talk segment. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. Don't forget to support the work that we do. Join our Brina Funk fan club. Goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year to raise $1 million. Our anniversary, 7th show anniversary is tomorrow, and 4th network anniversary is tomorrow. So in honor of our anniversary, your gift will be appreciated. To give you a Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right there, Cash App. The Stripe QR code. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Check some money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. And of course, shop BlackStarNetwork.com for our Roland Martin Unfiltered gear. You can get it right there on the website. That's right, our merch, shop BlackStarNetwork.com. And of course, support the Black-owned products. Give me a wide shot. You got our Black-owned products on my set right here. You see right over to my right. And so all these products here are on shop.blackstarnetwork.com. Go to the site, check it out. I'll be right back.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, we talk about the principles of mindset, strategy, and execution. This week, we're adding a fourth, faith. You're going to hear from a mother and daughter duo who are helping thousands of Black women build wealth, all through their faith.
You are more than you can ever imagine. Not just obtaining things to show that, but seeing yourself.
Making your faith work for you. That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
This week on the other side of change,
300,000 Black women being pushed out of the workforce.
This is shocking yet unsurprising.
So what happens when a bunch of Black mothers lose their federal job? Their kids are not being fed. their kids are not being taken care of. But that trickles down to the entire community structure, which may be built on the backs of Black mothers and Black women more broadly.
Tune in on The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Farquhar, executive producer of Proud Family. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Across the country, more families are turning to homeschooling, especially African Americans. That's right. It is Black people that represent the largest expansion of homeschooling. But finding the right support and curriculum can be a real challenge, especially for parents who want their child's education to reflect their culture and identity. That's where Coco Classroom steps in. Founded in Las Vegas by Michael and Regina Roebuck. Coco Classroom is a Black-owned, AI-powered platform built by parents for parents. It lets families design custom standards, align lessons in seconds, supports multiple languages, and puts powerful tools and progress tracking right at your fingertips. Michael and Regina join us right now. Glad to have both of you. How you doing?
Hey, we're doing good. Great. How are you?
Great. So how did this idea start?
So this was my broad idea. This is a very personal journey over here. So to give you some context, I'm originally from Charleston, West Virginia, just outside Charleston, a small town called Cabin Creek. I was the only Black child in my elementary school. So needless to say, early childhood was a nightmare, but then they found out that I was athletically gifted, and then my education turned into football. So fast forward to 2020, we're living in Utah now, and we have a daughter. She was becoming of school age. I'm giving you the long version in like a few minutes or whatever. And the demographics was similar, and I made a conscious decision. There is no way I'm sending my child to school in this type of environment. Fast forward 2-3 years after that, and several virtual academies we had signed up, I wasn't too happy with what I was seeing. And I realized I did not like the software that I was using even more. And that's what drove me to build Coco Classroom.
All right, so walk us through exactly what is it? What is Coco Classroom? Is it an app? Is it a software? What is it?
So Coco Classroom is I would say it as an AI-driven, parent-led, student-centered educational platform that allows parents like us to actually create our own courses, create our own curriculums. We use AI as an assistant to help guide us through that process every step of the way.
Okay. And how long did it take you to put this together?
Well, disclosure, I'm a software engineer by trade. Most of my career has been spent building, actually in the mobile development realm, iOS and Android. This wasn't my first time in the rodeo, but this time around I decided when I built it, let's build a website first because there were some lessons learned from the first time around. I figured 1 hour a day, every day for maybe 6 months. That was it. It didn't take me too long.
Okay.
Because I've been doing this for about 20 years, so.
Gotcha.
Initially, we had another app that it was previously, and then we moved on to this one to improve on that app because my daughter was learning way too fast, and we were trying to keep up with her.
Gotcha. Questions from the panel. Tyler, you're first.
Yeah, thank you all so much for joining. My question for you would be measuring impact. Like, how do you assess whether students using your platform is not only academically successful, but developing the critical thinking skills and cultural pride and social emotional learning that you all are pushing?
That's an excellent question. We will use our own story to answer your question. So one of the things that drove us to building our own platform, our daughter was actually falling behind as we were going through these virtual academies. While I liked the live video classes that we were participating in, I couldn't stand the software. And then on top of that, the material, she just wasn't grasping. And I decided to take matters into our own hands. So we took a step back in the example of language arts. We took a step back. We used AI as a guide. We came up with a plan of action, and we sought mastery level with language arts. We took the leap of faith around this time last year to homeschool full time. Really didn't know what I was doing at the time, but we had AI as our guide. And that combination and talking to parents locally in here in Las Vegas amongst the homeschooling community, we came up with a pretty solid plan of action to not only to where our own child caught up, she's now thriving.
Rebecca.
Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. I've seen an uptick in Black families making the choice to do homeschooling for their children. What has the reception been for you all as you're trying to encourage more families to consider homeschooling?
Our responses has been overwhelmingly supportive, much more positive. I didn't expect the type of traffic to be coming in my direction as it has. All the time, I'm on several social media groups, particularly on Facebook. Black Homeschoolers United. We'll give a shout out to y'all. A lot of parents, I'm seeing more and more parents that begin to pull their children out of schools for various reasons, and they're looking for an alternative where I just happen to have an option. We actually assisted in helping a few parents actually set up their own curriculums together. We have to watch out because the state guidelines and standards, it varies from state to state. So we have to keep that in mind. For those homeschooling families who's interested in this type of educational experience, I cannot stress enough, check the state's guidelines and standards because they vary. Here in Nevada, it's pretty much the Wild Wild West. You can do whatever you want here. They have some standards and guidelines, and I made sure in our case to greatly exceed whatever they have on the books.
So what, in terms of, so with this, how many parents are using this? How many folks have you actually signed up? And is it a subscription? Is it a monthly? How does that work?
Yeah, so right now there's a 30-day free trial period available to parents. We signed them up more or less as self-learners so that they can evaluate the platform and make a decision whether or not Cocoa Classroom's a good fit for them. If they make the decision or when they make the decision, yeah, we want to give you some money. The pricing is based on groups. So the larger your group, the bigger your discount. Families, $89.99 a month gives you access to everything. You can do whatever you want. You're entitled to add up to 2 additional adults, up to 5 children. I lost my train of thought. Help me out.
It is based on K through 12.
Yes, K through 12.
Correct.
Since last week, my gosh, I checked the stats this morning. We're pushing, I'd say probably 160 families have signed up within the last week, much more than what we expected. I was expecting a slow, steady pace to where we could just take our time. No. Didn't happen at all. It pretty much exploded.
Yes, and shout out to them. We appreciate you guys going on this journey with us. Thank you.
Okay, so if folks want to get more information, where do they go?
CocoaClassroom.com. COCOA. Yeah, our shirts.
CocoaClassroom.com.
So here are all your social. No, put it back up, guys. It was too quick. Come on, put it back up. Thank you. So this is how you can reach them on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest, and what the hell is that last one? Is that what is that?
TikTok.
That's TikTok. Gotcha. All right, that's the last one. So that's CocoaClassroom.com, all the social media. And Michael and Regina, I appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Thank you so much for having us. You have a great day, sir.
All right, thanks a bunch. All right, folks, that is it for us. Let me thank Ty Lake and Rebecca for being on today's panel. Thank you so very much. Appreciate y'all always being here. Don't forget to support the work that we do, folks. Our anniversary, our 7th anniversary of Roland Martin Unfiltered is tomorrow. It's tomorrow, right here. And of course, tomorrow's the 4th anniversary of the Black Star Network. So your support is critical to the work that we do here. We've had 36,000 donors since we launched. We're gonna update the list tomorrow. 36,000 people that have donated since we launched. We want you to join that list. And so if we can get folks to hit our goals to raise $1 million between now and December 31st as an anniversary. So if you want to support that work, please do so. And if you want to utilize Cash App, you could do so. Of course, you got the QR code right there. For Stripe, you can see it. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. If you also want to send a check and money order, P.O. Box. First of all, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003 7-0196. Again, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003 7-0196. If you want to, of course, support the work that we do. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear: How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available bookstores nationwide. Be sure to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network swag. You can go to, of course, shopblackstarnetwork.com. Shopblackstarnetwork.com to get our shirts, our T-shirts, and wall art, mugs, and all that good stuff. So go to there. Also, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com to support our Black-owned businesses. All the products you see right here on my set, you can actually go to the site to get these products right here. Shopblackstarnetwork.com. Support our Black-owned business. Hashtag Black Business Matters. And of course, be sure to get the Fanbase app. Download that app today. And of course, if you want to invest, go to startengine.com/fanbase. Folks, that's it. I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow right here. The 7th anniversary of Roland Martin Unfiltered. We're going to have several of the guests who actually were with us on our first show, including Bishop William Barber, Linda Sarsour, and others. We're going to have folks in the studio. Looking forward to a great conversation on tomorrow's show. Folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.